and welcome. I am glad you have joined us. I'm Alexandra, your instructor and senior technical trainer here at Microsoft. I have been teaching for over 10 years with a current focus on data and AI courses. I live in Paris and I speak 5 languages. So feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you would like to learn more or just say hello. I'm here to walk you through the course Create Agents in Microsoft Copilot Studio. In this session, we will cover how to work with entities and variables in Microsoft Copilot Studio. Entities are data structures that help your agent understand and organize information. They boost productivity by automating tasks and keeping data consistent. Whether it's customer info, product details, or anything else. So let's get started with this session. Quick reminder, all session content is available on Microsoft Learn. In this session, we'll cover the following topics: using system and custom entities, creating custom entities, and configuring variables. Let's start with entities. Entities are data structures that help your agent understand and organize information. They boost productivity by automating tasks and keeping data consistency, whether it's custom info, product details, or anything else. Natural language understanding is a powerful tool that helps identify and route users to the correct topic based on their input, even if the exact phrase isn't listed as a trigger phrase. NLU works by analyzing the user's language, understanding the context, and identifying the intent behind their words. This allows the agent to match the user's input with the most relevant topic or action, ensuring a smooth and accurate response. Entities play a crucial role in this process by representing real-world subjects, such as names, dates, locations, and more. When the agent recognizes entities in the user input, it can extract and save the relevant information. This helps the agent understand the context better and provide more accurate and personalized responses. For example, if a user asks, "What is the weather like in Paris tomorrow?" the NLU can identify the intent, asking about the weather, and the entities, location Paris, date tomorrow. The agent can then route the users to the correct topic and provide the appropriate information. In summary, NLU helps identify user intent and route them to the correct topic, while entities allow the agent to recognize and save relevant information, making the interaction more accurate and personalized. Microsoft Copilot Studio comes with a set of pre-built entities right out of the box. These entities represent some of the most commonly used information and real-world dialects, such as person, age, location, numbers, dates, and colors. This makes it easier for your agent to understand the process user inputs, ensure more accurate and relevant responses. When you insert a question node into a topic, you can use entities in the Identify section of the question. For example, if you ask the user what city they live and set the Identify field to city, the agent will extract the user city from their response. When the agent extracts the entity and saves it into a variable, it will save Paris as a city, even if the surrounding information is a text. This allows the agent to accurately capture and utilize specific information from the user input, making the conversation more efficient and personalized. Using closed-list entities can streamline your workflow and enhance accuracy. Closed-list entities allow you to define a specific set of values that your application can recognize, ensuring consistent and precise identification. This method is particularly useful when dealing with predefined categories or options, as it limits the scope to only those values you have specified, reducing errors and improving efficiency. Let's move on to the custom entities. In Microsoft Copilot Studio, custom entities are key to adapting the AI to your specific needs. They allow you to define specialized terms, concepts, or data that matter to your use case. This means the AI can better understand and respond to the unique challenges you're working with. By customizing entities, you're not just improving accuracy, you're making the AI truly relevant to your environment. Creating custom entities in Microsoft Copilot Studio is a great way to tailor the AI to your specific needs. It's a straightforward process. Start by opening the settings, then head to the Entities tab. Click Add an Entity. To begin, you will choose between two types. The first is a closed list. This is great when you have a small, specific set of options like size, departments, or locations. The second is a regular expression or regex. This type is used for patterns like ID numbers, credit card numbers, or IP addresses. After selecting the type, configure the entity by specifying the value or patterns it should recognize. Once you have defined and configured your custom entity, save it. Your new entity is now ready to be used in your Copilot Studio projects. By creating custom entities, you can ensure that your AI understands and processes the specific type of information relevant to your organization, making your interactions more accurate and efficient. Let's take a closer look at closed list entities. These are a fixed set of values. Your app can recognize things that don't change often. Imagine you're building an app to manage vehicles. You might create a closed list for vehicle types, car, truck, motorcycles. Other examples include days of the week, colors, or company departments. You can also add synonyms, alternative words that mean the same things. So if car is on your list, you might include automobile or vehicle as synonyms. Smart matching takes this step further. It helps your app recognize variation, like understanding that mon means Monday. With closed list entities, synonyms, and smart matching, your app becomes more intuitive and better at understanding user input. Now let's talk about regex entities. Regular expression regex entities let you define logical patterns that you can use to match and extract information from an input. Regex entities are great for complex patterns matching against the user's input, or if you need to allow for specific variations in how a user might format or enter their input in a conversation. For example, you could use a regex entity to identify items such as tracking ID, a license number, a credit card number, or an IP address from a string the user enters into the agent. First, regex entities allow you to define specific patterns that you want to match in user inputs. These patterns can be anything from email addresses and phone numbers to more complex sequences like credit card numbers and IP addresses. When a user inputs text, the regex entity scans the input to find matches based on the defined patterns. For example, if you have a regex pattern for an email address, the entity will look for text that fits the typical structure of an email, like example@domain.com. Once a match is found, the regex entity extracts the relevant information and saves it for further use. This is particularly useful for capturing specific data points that need to be processed or stored. In this demo, we'll see how to create a closed list entity in Microsoft Copilot Studio. So again, we are back in our Copilot Studio. We'll select the agent that we used in our last demos, real estate booking agent. And this time I will go first to settings. Settings are on the right side of our Publish button. And inside of our settings, we'll see the Entities section just right here. Inside of the entities, we'll see some pre-built entities like age, for example, age of the person, with different user inputs that are possible. And we can create here an extra entity that we'll call the closed list entity. To create the closed list entity, we'll provide it a name, let's say a property type. And after that, we can list some items. On the right, like apartment, the users can select after that between those items when they want to visit some property. Condominium, we can also add here, for example, the duplex, why not? And let's add the last option that will be a house. So it's a property type. If we want, we can also add some alternative words, synonyms, to each of our list items. I can provide, like here, for example, townhouse, click on plus. Also, if you want, you could add multiple synonyms. It's true that I added just one for each of them, but if I want, I can provide here as many of them as possible, so it will understand and trigger them in our agent later, and like house, single family house, for example. And after we created these closed list entities, we can check on the left if you want to use a smart magic option. It will use natural language. In this case, it will understand the misspelling, grammar issues, or words with similar meanings. So if you want to also empower your closed list with artificial intelligence, you can activate the smart matching options on the left bottom corner of your property type, entity, or any other entity. And after this saves the changes, we see that it's appear in our entity list. And if we want, we can also create another entity that is regular expression. And this time when we create a regular expression, the process is similar. We provide first the name to our entity that it's regular expression here. But this time you'll need to provide a pattern. It's usually a number, it's ID, it could be an email address, a passport number, it could be a website number or whatever. Not website, but mostly IP address actually for your website. And in my case, when I provide a name as a number of bedrooms, I select a pattern, so this could be between 1 and 5 bedrooms. I can also check the spelling in the example, so I write it correctly, my pattern, and I can save. So now my user can select those entities and I can reuse it in my next demos. One, it's property type to select the right property, and after that we have regular expression to select the number of bedrooms. And we will see later how to work with those entities. Thank you for your attention. Let's come back to our presentation. In our next section, we will discover variables in Copilot Studio. Think of variables as containers that hold data. They're like labels you attach to pieces of information so you can easily reference and reuse them throughout your project. Whether you're working with numbers, text, or other types of data, variables help keep everything organized and make your project more efficient. Variables are created automatically when you add a question node to a topic in Copilot Studio. By default, when a question node is inserted, it will be created using multiple choice options. However, any pre-built or custom entity can be used by selecting it under Identify. When a variable is automatically created, it will be given a default name like var. This isn't very descriptive. If desired, you can rename a variable by selecting it and entering a new name. This will make it easier to identify later when needed. Once a variable is created, it's available to all topics. While working with a message or a question node, you can select the X in a curly braces button. This will display a list of all the variables available in the topic, sorted in alphabetical order. This makes it easy to find and use the variables you need for your projects. Passing variables between topics is simple and powerful. First, make sure that the variable is created in your initial topic. Then, when you move to another topic, you can reference the same variable by clicking the curly braces icon again. You will see a list of variables available in the new topic, including those passed from the previous one. This keeps your data consistent and ensures your project flows smoothly from one topic to the next. By default, a variable's value is only available in the topic where it was created. These are called topic variables or limited scope variables. But Copilot Studio also supports agent variables. This allows the agent to remember context across multiple topics in a conversation. That means relevant data can be carried forward, making the experience more seamless and connected. In this demo, we'll walk through how to create and use entities in Microsoft Copilot Studio. You will see how easy it is to enhance your project's capabilities with just a few steps. In this demo, we'll see how to work with entities. First, I will use two entities that I just created in previous demo. As a reminder, we do have number of bedroom and property type. I will select the agent, real estate booking agent that we created before, and we will see how we can use those two entities, one that is closed list and another one that is regex entity. And to do so, I will open a topic that is the book a real estate showing topic, and I will come back to some questions that we created here. You remember before, when I asked my user which property do you want to see, we identify the full entire response of our user to select the property. But this time I will provide our entity that is closed list, where you have apartment, condominium, duplex, and house as an option. So on identify, I do select an entity and not the entire response. And also we will save it as a property name. We will use the same variable name. And it means when the user will ask to visit something, our Copilot and our agent will propose him 4 options to select between in, and this way we can guide better our user between those 4 options. I also can add an extra node if I want between my question and the next one. And this time I will select an extra question here as a node, and I will ask how many bedrooms do you need. And in identify section, I will not select multiple choice, but I will select the entity that we created. And I can also provide the name to this variable, click on it and rename it to make it more clear and reuse it later. It's a number of bedrooms. And we can save this variable. Let's click on save. So far, all good. We just saw together how we can add 2 entities here. One is a property type, this closed list option, and the second entity is number of bedrooms in our second question. And as you remember, it will be between 1 and 5. I hope you enjoyed this demo. Let's come back now to our presentation. In this session, we explored entities and variables. Entities help the agent interpret user responses more accurately, reducing the need for rigid topic structure and making conversations more dynamic. You can create custom entities like closed lists and regular expressions to suit specific needs. Variables, which are generated from user input, allow you to control the flow of conversation and pass data to actions. They can be renamed for clarity, shared across topics, and even remembered by the agent to maintain context throughout a conversation. This concludes our session. I hope you will join us as we journey through this course. I encourage you to watch other videos in this course or search out your next favorite topic on Microsoft Learn at ak.ms/learn. Thank you and see you soon!